All right, going live here. Give a little bit of time just for some people to jump on. All right, we got our first one. So I've been watching a little bit of Meekum today. There, we got some on. Watching a little bit of Meekum today. It's been very cold, windy. A lot of people here in Kansas have been getting snow. And so I figured, hey, we got 41. There, it jumped right up. Okay, we are live and rolling. Mike and Roy, Tim, Brian Big Red Schultz. I like that nickname. I've been called that myself a few times. You got Jay, Tater. Hello, howdy, howdy, hello. So I wanted to thank you guys for supporting the channel. This has been 5-year mark. This was something back in 2020 that I did because, frankly, I was bored. We were locked down for the pandemic, and I had some time on my hands, and so started a YouTube channel. So I want to thank everybody for the support you've given me for that 5 years. And it's been amazing to see the channel grow the way it has. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of that. 66 Chevelle wagon. I don't know of any right now, but I'll keep an eye out. Someone missed me in Albuquerque. Saw a few people, but that auction did not have a lot of attendance, despite being fairly well publicized and on high bid and everything. Roy's got some snow and wind from Colorado, and we have received it. Thank you, Roy. Big Red, Brian, yeah, thank you. Thank you for supporting and for being here. Rick, yep, we find some good auctions. I am blown away and amazed that this area of the central US, how many sales there are. A lot of you guys say on the East Coast this stuff is all rusted away and sales just barely happen out there. And believe it or not, I did spend the summer of 2006 in California in the Los Angeles area, and it amazed me like there were no auctions out there. And I was just wondering, scratching my head all summer, like how do estates get dispersed in California? So Van Gremlin, I probably missed a few here. Thank you. Welcome. Brian Carpenter. Yes, just like Mr. Goodwrench, but less professional. I see one who's watched a lot and has picked that up. Yep. Jim, enjoy seeing the old stuff. Keep it coming. We will as long as I'm around. And I'm turning 40 this year, so hitting the midlife, so I hope there's 40 good years left. I'm sure there'll be estates and junkyards and things all over that we'll find in the next coming years, so don't go away. Those blowing dust storms, yeah, it was howling, howling. I didn't sleep a lot last night. Our old house, the windows kind of bang around, and that's okay for dreaming, but not for good dreams. Indian Lake, Ohio, Aaron, thank you. Tim Tarswell, wish you were closer. Yeah, I know it's about 3,000 miles from coast to coast, and all you guys in the UK and Australia, and even got some South America people that watch. And I know it's not exactly close quarters to a lot of where you're at. Raider 63, thank you. Rick, Western Arizona, not a lot of good auctions. Yeah, come to Albuquerque. They're saying that that one's going to be annual. I know that auction, they kind of based it in one guy's 70s and 80s Chevy truck collection and then an AMC collection. So we'll see. David, the Scott auction, I will not be going, but I hear there's online bidding. So you might call that auction company and just get with them and see what it would take. I know a lot of these auction companies, they do have call-in bids also. So there's more than just being there live to bid that gets you a chance to buy something. So that will be something I'll leave between you and the auction company and the consigner. Roy, still looking for a good pickup bed for the 67 to 72. Yeah, so the attention getter picture, that 62 Galaxy, I actually went to Colorado and got that car, and it was a quick trip. I filmed a really cool bone pile out there, and I didn't have time to get a load together coming. So I got to get pictures of that to you, which as soon as we get the snow off, I'm logging that in my brain now. Go out there and get pictures of that for you. I think I missed one from Michigan. Hey, Kevin Smith, Potwin, America. Yep, just right down the road. Derek from Central Kentucky, keep the videos coming. Curious, how many old cars do I have? Well, I would have to count. I think it might hit 400. And now that you've heard me say that, you got to promise me you will not run off and tell a psychiatrist. That would get both of us in big trouble, and I might lose part of my collection. All jokes aside, I think there's some days in this business where if you're not a little bit of crazy, then yeah. The Lincoln brochures, yes, I had seen that. I'm terrible about email. I know I write on there. Email me. We have busy lives. What am I working on right now? So all of my projects don't have four wheels. They have dirt and studs and concrete. And that's just the stage of life that I'm currently in. 55 Cadillac bumper, I think I do, but I don't think there's a grill in it. I think it's just the bumper and the Dagmars. 4,000 dealership promo model cars. That's an achievement. You can see the 58 Olds behind me, and then a really cool customized Lancer 60, 61. That one's neat enough. That one probably deserves its own short video, that Lancer. Some kid put a lot of work in that back in the day. Ryan, 74 Impala. I don't right now. I've got some 73s for parts. North Florida. Excellent, excellent. Say hello to my friend Ross. Cars and prices. Yeah, I actually should. So that was a trend a while ago. All the big YouTubers, they were doing every car I own is for sale. And that's one that I probably should help thin the herd a little. I've got a few things that I'm getting squared away to be able to get where the yards are a little more accessible. And then I'd like to do maybe some kind of an open house. Could possibly be around here, or I know Joe's probably not watching, but hey, if you are, Joe, and you see this later, let's talk him into an open house at the Rust Ranch, kind of like Steve does out in Pueblo, Colorado. Some Chris, they're sending an email. I will check that. Scott says a dying breed. Yeah, I hope not. I hope this is getting passed on. I know there's a lot of you guys. I recognize the demographic here is age 50 to 80. 75 Buick. I'm trying to remember which one that is. Yes, Silas and I are actual friends. He and I live an hour apart, and as busy lives as we have, it seems like it's a long drive for me to get out that way, but I do see him at sales. I do see him around swap meets and that sort of thing. And just genuine guy, just like me, just like you see us on the channel. Okay, three Chevy Monza hubcaps. So they made a bigger 13, 14-inch full cap, and then they, I think, made a smaller one. Maybe that was just the Vegas. I would say if you can use Google Lens, look up pictures of those. That's a good way to identify things you don't know which they are. And then maybe look on eBay. I'm guessing they're probably 15, 20 a piece, so not huge money. A lot of people put mag wheels on cars. So hubcaps about wall hangers to a lot of people. Okay, New York, Marketplace, Eastern Oklahoma. Eastern Oklahoma is like really rusty, believe it or not. Arkansas, a lot of rusty stuff. Texas, you go much further east, and it is like rusty, rusty. The white one in Dad's shed. No, so we just moved that. That's a 76 Electra he's asking about. It's actually pale yellow. And that one is one that I've moved. Fuel's stale, brakes are soft. I've got a fuel tank for it. I've got new calipers. Asking price on it is 7,500, which I think is fair for a 50K mile car. It's one of those that if you drug one out of a field and put 7,500 in it, or even 15,000, you wouldn't have a car that nice when you were done. So emails on that. 71. So I've got a couple 71 coupes that I'm getting put together. I've got some rough 73s. Haven't quite had a 73 that's worth piecing together to rebuild, but I've acquired a lot of parts cars to get there. So 71 Sport Coupe and a custom coupe Impalas are going to be coming. Um, Hugh, appreciate the heads up on that tilt column. I think that was out of a GMC truck, maybe. If not, be a car. Yeah, I'll send him a text on that. Adelaide, Australia. Ned, you win the long distance award so far. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, you have so many cool cars we didn't get in Australia. Well, Peter, I got to tell you, you guys in Australia have a lot of cool cars we didn't get. So it's a shame it's so far. I'd love to hop the puddle and go see some of what you got because I know I see some cool stuff, Facebook and other places. Oh, I just missed one. Four-door 70, 71. Those are actually two very different cars, so you'd have to specify which of those years. Great videos, auto body, 45 years. Do you have any hearing left? My uncle did it for about 3 or 4 years, and he says he's kind of deaf. How am I so knowledgeable? I I get asked that, and I think it's just something that you're so familiar with it, you're so immersed in it, and you just start to learn the little subtle nuances and combine that with some photographic memory, and that's just how it goes, I guess. Ford COE grill, that's going to be a tough one. If you do find it, it's going to be beat up, and I would almost suggest, I hate to say it, but building one. A lot of guys don't have those skills, and I wouldn't say I do either. I can patch rest with the best of them, make panels with bead roller, shrinker stretcher. Why the soft spot for 70s cars? Well, you look at the mid 70s and that stuff's half a century old. I guess I kind of like what I like, and part of the reason is because other people like it too. So, I mean, you can't be the only guy that likes something, or else you're just out there alone, I guess. 75 cars in the Denver area. I would be very interested in seeing those. Yes, please, on the email. You'd love to bring a trailer and get so many 50s cars. If you went to Joe's place, you'd find a lot more 50s cars than me. I know I'm putting him on the spot here because he's on vacation and not listening, but let's put the pressure on him to do a open house down at the Rust Ranch. And if he absolutely flat refuses, well, then we'll do it here instead. Nobody's show. What's up? Hey, Chad. I see you've found Peter and Dan there. So, yeah, it's just a great area of the country. I see Chad at sales. I see Silas. Of course, Joe's a friend of mine. And it's neat some of these sales. Like we go far enough west that I see Steve from Pueblo, Colorado, and Snyder's Junkyard on Facebook. He's always got units coming in, as he calls them. Okay, love the oil cans. Yeah, the mobile free zone is a really rare one. I'd pull it down and show it on camera, but it would be backwards, and you probably wouldn't like the clatter when the rest of them hit the floor. So I might do a short on one of those later. Rick from Massachusetts, great to see you. Is the Australian Capri starting to get a following? You guys sold more. It was your biggest export. I mean, like any 70s car, you're fighting the rust and you're fighting unobtainable plastic. So I missed a good one. I don't think I can scroll. Yo, look at this. Okay. Current strategy. Hey, I learned something new. For buying projects and so on. Is it going to change in the future? So collector cars are sliding scale. I think if you'd asked anyone 30 years ago if a 1995 was going to be a collector car, there would have been a lot of thunderous voices saying absolutely not, no, never. But a lot of 90s cars are more collectible than 20s cars, as sad as that is. I believe that any old car is worth preserving. They're artifacts and relics of our country's and global transportation history, but you can't be, I guess, stuck in the past. And I actually do keep an eye out on some of that 80s and 90s stuff. Where do you see the market going? I was watching Meekum today, and if a person has 10, 15, $20,000, you can get a really nice restored, call them the Wednesday cars. They're not the Saturday ones that are 100 grand. But if I'd maybe not invested in 20 of my $1,000 cars, I could have probably had a real nice, yeah, Beetle or pickup or Nova or something in the 20K range that someone's probably put 50, $60,000 of work by modern standards. These labor rates, guys, are just crazy. But it still feels like, for the guys that I know that are doing it, like they're just giving away their professional time. And man, it's a rough place to be. I get restoration. I graduated from McPherson College in 2008, and it was something that, you learn a lot about it, but I decided I wanted to be a parts guy, and that was something that it just fit for me. Best thing I like to tell people, and they're like, "You're a car guy." I'm like, "Yeah, I work with cars, not necessarily on cars." I do a lot of towing. I bring stuff to the yard and piece it together, title it, and then it's on to the next people. So Peter says time to trade up. Yeah, if any of you guys are sitting on a really nice $20,000 car, get a hold of me. I've got about $21,000 cars. I'd sure trade for it. Um, Missed one here. Am I gonna buy the Falcon Knight? I'm trying to think which one that is. There's a really neat Survivor in a warehouse that's been on Facebook Marketplace, and now here in front of 214 YouTube viewers, I'm completely drawing a blank on what that was. Maybe I'll think of it. I'm trying to think of any Falcon Knights listed. Maybe tell me in a comment here what that one is. Good evening from Poolsville, Washington. You're probably the number 2 or number 3 long distance award behind the Massachusetts guy. Oh, David, Jeff, Tom, Daryl, Peter. Hello, hello, Hugh P. ever find A's and T's. So I've played that card close to my chest, and there's some people who know me and have been around here, and the cat's kind of out of the bag locally on that one. And I will tell you that the hunt for those got a little bit out of hand. And so keep an eye out. We'll have, there's some of these videos I can go film in an afternoon and load them that night. But I'll give you just a little teaser on that, that the A&T video is a bit more of a long-termer that we're working toward and hopefully have something this year. But I've been really excited to put that together, and that's going to be one that I hope there's interest in from you guys. I know YouTube algorithm, they really like when stuff stays in a lane, and so I hope I don't get too punished for that. But it's something I know there's like a core group of maybe like 5 or 10,000 of you guys that like whatever I put out, you guys will watch. And that's never an excuse for me to make things that I don't feel like are interesting. But there's these guys that's like the core group that are like very, very supportive. And I want to say that does mean a lot. Some of those that even if nobody else in the algorithm, it gets shoved out there too. I'm thrilled that there's a core group of you guys that are really in. Mr. Martin, hello from Alliance. Hey, been out there to the Taylor Salvage, and there's another channel here on YouTube, Mr. Dolloff, Dolloff, who just did a really good walk around of the Taylor Salvage there. Neat place. If you ever are out in that area, it's a long, long, long way for me. I had wanted to get back out there, but then looking at the map, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff really pretty close around here to home. 234 viewers. This is just excellent. I was stuck inside today, and then I was like, yeah, this is the 5 year, and it's been like 2 years since I've done a live. The very last live I did was a bit of an embarrassment there at the Pate Swap Meet. You guys got to see the whole car corral sideways, and then I got cold feet about that. But this is really cranking, so I appreciate everybody here. Mr. Man, Undon, I'm not going to try, but hola to you, my friend. Granddad's Junk, good day from New Zealand. Okay, we got the number 2 spot back. Reclaimed for the long distance orchard. Mobile oil spelled backwards is Leoldom. Yep, sure is. Don't know what a Chevy bow tie is backwards, but you can figure that one out too. Corey Jones, hello from Wyoming. I'm amazed how you can look at a part and identify what it went to. Yeah, there's a lot of them, boy, that I sure can't, but a lot of European stuff maybe doesn't get kicking around central US. So a lot of the common stuff, yeah, it's like photographic memory, once you see it, you just can't unsee it. So I know everybody's brain works differently. I had a guy the other day that was someone that I'd seen before and talked to, and he was asking about a friend of ours, and I couldn't remember the name or the face, and I had to apologize. Yeah, it's just not the way my brain works. So it's like some of you guys, if you could maybe grow bumpers and hubcaps somehow, I'd be able to keep you straight from one to the other. So Daniel Cooper, appreciate you sharing your knowledge. Nice to learn about makes and models from Hot Springs. Well, thank you. Yeah, there's some of these I see something for the first time. You don't realize how many different makes and years and models and 100 years of history that you're actually looking at. And so it is exceptional to be able to keep that straight. And there's a lot of guys that even go deeper than me on stuff like Pontiac and Mopar. They're just their own whole entire microcosms. I joke that Pontiac, Mopar, and John Deere are three of the major world religions, and that's not quite exactly a joke sometimes. Jim Woods, hey, I'm on Amtrak Southwest Chief in New Mexico. Excellent, excellent. So my dad growing up, he was like the Amtrak family vacation guy. And so I have spent a lot of hours in the observation car. Not so many in the dining car because my dad was cheap, but we would go to a lot of the national parks. He'd rent a car and little Dodge Neons and Cavaliers, and he was just the type that could very much stretch a dollar. And so I have memories of those trips and with my parents, and Amtrak was the way there and the way home. And I remember for maybe 2 days afterward, you'd just be kind of walking around rocking like this, like you were still on the train. Dean Jones, enjoy your adventures. Thank you for coming along digitally, my friend. Hugh P, watch the videos. You're looking for specific. Okay, yeah. There's certain things that if I mention it, sometimes it's just because I've had a customer that's asked, and they'll say, "Hey, keep an eye out for this," and a lot of these places I have some idea what's there before I go, and then some it's like I'm just seeing it all for the first time, and so having some idea of what people have asked for. I do apologize. I don't have, I guess, a running list of everything everyone's looking for. As a parts guy, I know there's always the chance to let people down, especially if you walk past something that somebody asked for. Okay, Corey Jones, late 60s or early 70s Ford Custom big block. So custom is like the stripped model, four-door, two-door sedans, I think is what you're referring to. And then big block would be, we're calling that a 390, I guess, FE engine. There is a really, really neat down at Perky's in southeast Kansas at Coffeyville, just across the state line. So the road that runs across their place, they're on the north side, and then you look across and it's Oklahoma. He's got a super, super, super neat 69 Ford two-door sedan that I've been trying to get him to pull that thing off the hill because it's just a car you don't see. And as far as yeah, Ford Custom, I guess you didn't say two-door or four-door. They're out there. It's just if you're gonna find one, be choosy because you could probably find something meant for 10 grand. And I know I'm a sucker for finding $1,000 and $1,500 cars and thinking they're cool. But you know, it'd probably take any one of those probably 20 grand to turn $1,000 car into a $3,000 car. And that's just the reality. Jim says his buddy from Canton is on the train too. There's a lot of Cantons, but if it's Kansas, it's just a stone throw away. Aaron, hi from Saskatchewan, Canada. Awesome. If any of you guys aren't aware, probably one of the best channels on YouTube is the guys in Alberta, Cold War Motors. Dean and Scott and the agents, those guys have up there something that I just direly wish I could put together down here. They have a group of guys, I equate it almost to like the lowrider guys in California, where it's just a group of guys that are so passionate about vehicles and they're very giving to each other. They'll go work on a guy's car to get a paint job done or to get the bodywork knocked out or to do a full interior. And then the next few days, they're on to the next guys. And when you have that type of hustle and that type of interest, it is just flat amazing what those guys can get done. And so Cold War motors, they basically shoot for a whole week and edit it down into about an hour and 15 minutes. And there's some amazing things that they're able to pull off up there. And so, mad, huge respect to those guys. That's something, of course, things get built one friend and one person at a time. And I've reached out to some guys that I would love to be able to get together with around here and do some of that sort of thing. Okay. Jay asks, have any regrets of letting go of some of your favorite cars? Uh, Out here we are just so immersed in cars everywhere. And the ones that you let go of, I guess, are ones that make a place for something else to come. Probably one of the biggest regrets I have, there was a 74 Impala that we pulled out of a guy's garage. Just beautiful survivor car. He said he'd parked it because like the points burned out. And I sold that car and it ended up getting derbied, and it just made me sick because it was a beautiful, I don't know what Chevy called it, but Ford used that shade on their Bigfoot trucks. And it was just a beautiful, pretty blue car. And I took partial trade on a 69 Electra that went to a guy that he put head gaskets in. But that Chevy, I mean, it could have been throw a set of points in it and drive it, and now it's gone. History lost. Other than that, I cannot think of really any other regrets. It's like, they're like trading cards in your hand. You just look at what's in your hand and the stuff that's not there. Uh, I have bought back a few, usually in worse condition than I sold them in. But actually, on that topic, I guess I sold a guy a 62 Chevy step van, and it was one we'd literally pulled it out of a fence row, and the engine turned. And I told him, I said, I'll bet that thing will run. And it was full of probably 2 feet deep of beer cans in the bottom of it. And that was when my son was about probably 7 or 8. And we stomped all those beer cans, cashed them in, and I sold that step van. And I actually saw it listed on Marketplace. The guy had it for $20,000, and he'd probably put $30,000 or $40,000 of work in it. Totally converted it to a food truck. He'd painted it burgundy, which wasn't a 1962 color. If it had been me, it probably would have been Robin's Egg pastel blue, but I wasn't the one that put 40 grand in it, so I didn't pick the paint color. But seeing that it was one that we'd rescued out of a pasture and that had gotten fixed and saved and was back on the road, that was really neat to see that. That's a long answer, Jay, but you got to take the good with the bad in this business. And having owned probably, I couldn't even count, probably a couple thousand by now cars, you got to keep the snowball rolling. Daryl asks, wasn't it you that ended up with Dalton's wrecked square body? Yes. So there is potential for future content. I have found the perfect accessory truck that between the two, a person could build one really good one out of the pair. And so if any of you guys are watching that, go and blitz and barrage Dalton about getting a hold of me and getting that project done. I've mentioned it to him a couple times, and that's one that I think probably, especially for his viewers, would be great for them to see those pieces put together. I've got kind of a neat idea for my end of the collaboration on that one. So all it takes is you guys to help me put a little pressure on him. And then, yeah, hopefully, not gonna cross my fingers, but maybe this year, hopefully we can get him pushed over. And if there's a bit of a lull on his channel for projects, of course, he'd be the leader on that, so it's onto his schedule. He does maybe a little more scheduled stuff, doing builds with cars than what I do. Mine is just very much as I find it. So anyway, last time I'll say it, but go hit Dalton and say, hey, get with Goodpliers. Take two, build one. Do it. Do it. Do it. Dean, you show the cars I grew up with. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was talking to one of the guys here that's on the live just before, and I was telling him, yeah, these guys, like, they knew the stuff when it was new. And so hopefully some of you guys can say that it's worth being old now to have experienced what you did when you were young. Okay, Staten Island. We might have maybe number 4 or number 5 long distance award. Good to see you, Rich. Peter, like the videos of the oil cans. Yeah, there's just a mix of what we find, and reminds me, like, I can go shoot museums or car shows and $1 million worth of vehicles, and for whatever reason, there's just not the same amount of interest in an old barn or an old forest where you don't know what's in there. And it's funny how that is. My dad does antique furniture and collectible stuff, flea market stuff, and he will say the same thing. They'll be out at a flea market, and people will walk past the really shiny, pretty, well done up stuff to find something with peeling paint and that's old and, as they say in the tractor world, in its work clothes. So yeah, it's interesting, the human reaction to those certain things. So uh, side note, I've seen the internet memes that say I'd walk right past a row of Ferraris to look at an old station wagon. So I know some of you people probably share similar sentiments. So if you are ever around here, come check out my 73 New Yorker. David says he's going to head out. Good to see you, David. Yeah, appreciate everyone. We're 37 minutes in. We got 250 guys. So for a, I'm struggling to find a word here, but very impulsive live, especially 2 years after the last one. I do appreciate everyone that's out here, heard the bell. Is there one that's a favorite personal car? Asks Chris. Out of my 400 cars, it's like ask a ask a parent of 400 kids which is their favorite. I have $500 cars that I like a lot more than some of the $2,500 cars out here. It's just there's a crunched up 71 Fury that car probably will never see the road again, but it's a slant six 3-speed on the column, and it's just a interesting car. Something about C-body Mopars for me, it just kind of strikes a bone, because if you go look on eBay or in the traders or on Mecum or anywhere for 60s and 70s Mopar cars, you're gonna find A bodies and B bodies and your E bodies, but it's like, where did all the C bodies go? They either were derbied or crushed or drivetrain donors. And so I don't like to use the R word in this business because it gets abused more than I think it should. But scarce and obscure and those other words that are close to the R word, I think definitely do apply to a lot of these cars. And so the fact that a old car that shouldn't have survived has, I think that in its own way does give it some amount of rarity, just by attrition over the years. Okay, Argentina. Yeah, good to see you, Don. You're probably maybe our number 3rd spot for long distance award. Scott, thanks for checking in from Phoenix. Ford backwards, driver returns on foot. All right, I'll play on that one. So we've got Chevrolet, cracked head, every valve rattles, oil leaks, eats transmissions. Studebaker, steady breaker. We've got Fix It Again Tony for Fiat. I may be going down a bit of a rabbit trail here. Mopar probably is my favorite by far because it's just so true. Mostly old parts and rust. And I know a lot of like the diehard purist guys who worship at the altar of Mopar cringe when I say that, but look at any of these old cars. And I mean, look at that 73 New Yorker. I mean, you saw that one, rust free car from New Mexico, but maybe its moniker, its acronym would be mostly old parts and galvanic corrosion of the cooling system. Crazy thing on that car was like it started at the thermostat neck and like went a little ways out from there and then stopped. Like the bottom of the radiator and the bottom of the block was just pure green antifreeze. Like it looked like you just poured it out of the bottle. So something bad happened there. We're on the middle of that one. That was a Willet run that we did just in time left over and was absolutely no hurry on that one. I know people commented on there like, "Oh, you guys rushed it, whatever." Like that was literally the most probably relaxed Will It Run that I ever came to a car to do. No expectations, and whatever happened, I was going to film. I see guys put them up on jack stands when they drop them in gear, and now I know exactly why. Not a lot of real hurt that we put on the Cutlass, and I do actually have a bit of a plan in mind for the Cutlass coming up. That's one that'll be a bit of a long termer, so you might not see it for the next year or two, but it won't be the last time that car shows up on the channel. Okay, Bill from Indiana. Hello, hello. Rick. Hey, Tim. Always impressed with the sheer amount of knowledge you have about all manner of things. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to be gracious and accept those compliments because to me it just seems like it's what I know and it's what I do. But I do very much appreciate you guys complimenting that. I do have a very deep bandwidth about cars, but I do have a wider bandwidth about life. There's a lot of other things beyond cars that I do enjoy. I like fine art. I like the models. So when this channel first started 5 years ago, and there were no farm auctions, everything was really locked down. I started doing little unboxing videos on the diecast cars, and that was where it all started. Willie says hello from Louisiana. Vel in Ontario. Hello, hello. Hey, I was up in Detroit a year and a half ago, and I did not realize how excellent geographically the neighboring proximity of Ontario and Detroit are. Um, Hopefully, the dust settles down with the tariffs and everything. I know there's some time that it takes for things to level out, and so I do want to appreciate all you Canadian guys. There's stuff that we buy and that you buy from us that we like to. I guess I don't want to get political, but I've been on the wrong side of some local politics that didn't have anything to do with me. And the one thing that I really took away from that was that at any level of relationships in your life, guys, please, please, as much as you can, strive to find win-win resolution to your conflicts. I know there's a lot of people in life that approach it with this win-lose mindset. that, hey, I have to win and my enemies have to be crushed beneath my heel. And that's just not a good way for life to work. So I know like there's things where I come and I have to maybe give somebody the bad news and they feel like I'm getting something up on them, and I'm like, look, I've got to help you feel like you've not just been crushed under the boot. And then there's other times too where like I know I'm going to lose, but I'm like I would like to I guess find some sort of a win in that. So that's my non car tangent, but just if I know a lot of you guys are probably either in work or family or other situations. Guys, there's just always going to be conflict in our lives. But that would be my one point, just to find some win-win for your conflicts. Dean says, appreciate the knowledge. Thank you. Yeah, just I keep learning, like even from you guys, like in the comments, especially you guys that knew these cars when they were regular transportation and actually worked on them. I know like some of them, by the time we get to 40, 50 years old, we just have a very different view of what they are. And so a lot of the knowledge, I have to say, does come from you guys saying, hey, this is how it was and this is how I remember it. So I do appreciate. I also want to say I read every comment on the videos. So the way the little creator deal for my YouTube analytics comes, I go in probably sometimes every 6, 8 hours, couple times a day. And I look at those. A lot of them I reply to. So if you ever comment on a video, know that I will read that. And I do appreciate. Someone said one time it's like signing the guest book, and I think that's a awesome analogy. So you guys even commenting here, appreciate you signing the guest book on the live. Okay, Hugh says Northwest Ohio Rust Belt, young enough to be my youngest child. Yeah, I was born in '85, so pressed with the knowledge. Yeah, I try and be gracious. It does really mean a lot when you guys call that out, because there's some things I I feel like I'm still in the dark about. So, where am I going to the next auction? Okay, so for whatever reason, there has been a nearly total eerie silence of spring farm auctions this year, and that is wild. I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like it. Uh, it has been asked on the channel, how do I find these? Excuse me. So I look on internet searches. Sometimes I search by state: Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Missouri. And I will also search on Facebook. So if you are on Facebook, there are auctioneers who will advertise. And so even if it's something in the Carolinas or in Washington State, or if it's vehicles that I'm not necessarily interested in, I always tap on those. Number one, just out of curiosity. And number two, because in all of these online platforms, they're all driven by algorithms. And so everyone that I've tapped on in the Facebook feed then says, hey, this is something the guy's interested in, and they keep showing them to me. And then, so HiBid and ProxyBid are national platforms, and those are just good ways to find online sales. Some of those are online only, and then some of those are online and live. I know the online thing didn't really start to blow up and be such a big deal until the pandemic there, and I feel like we lose a little something on the online sales, because especially for a lot of the older guys, that is part of the social fabric. and behind a computer, it's just hard to have that. So that's a long answer, Brad, to where am I going to the next auction. So, to be the specific answer to that, there is one up in Nebraska, Chevy pickups, and that is on April 5th. And now you've put me on the spot and I'm drawing a blank. I might put a post here on the channel showing where that's at. Shane, ha 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 ha. Pat, find some Broncos. Okay, so someone asked before about regrets of cars I've sold. So I should say I have more regrets about vehicles I didn't buy than about ones that I sold. And one of those is a 78 Bronco. So this is like way early in my career. There was a 78 Bronco and I just wasn't into trucks at all. And there was nothing wrong with that Bronco. I mean, it had been sitting, but the body was clean, the interior was decent, and it was an auction close to home. And the scrap guy bought that Bronco, and I watched him fork the thing and mash it on his trailer. And that was one that kind of haunts me. Rich, South Dakota Rust Belt. You must be on the east side, fixing holy floors in your plow truck. Oh, yeah. Longtime member of the Pontiac religion. Hey, Rich, there's a guy that's brave enough to tell us which altar he bows at. You know, I was not really into Pontiacs much at all because I guess kind of I was a bit turned off by it. But the Norm Blatter Mr. GTO auction up in North Dakota, that one really changed me. I think just being around all those cars, I got to experience being able to just check them out, open them up, look at them firsthand, and to see how passionate the guys were, and that kind of changed me. And then Wichita, I want to maybe it was like 2014. They did a Pontiac show for where the club met in Wichita, and then I think in 22, I believe they did one in Tulsa. And so those were ones I do kind of keep an eye out on the major clubs like the Buick and the Pontiac, like the Ford Falcon. A lot of those clubs, and you don't have to own a car to be a member of them. But a lot of those clubs, they will move around their national meets all over the country. So they'll do them like Washington, California, Wisconsin, Tennessee, Florida, Texas. They choose different areas, and so a lot of people who are into those cars that are in those clubs, they make that their family vacation for the summer. A lot of them will drive their vehicles, some will fly in. And so those look around in your area. A lot of them, June, July is about when most of them happen. But if you're really into a car of a certain brand, look around because there's a good chance that within uh, maybe a couple 100 miles, you can go and see some really well restored vehicles, original stuff that people are very passionate about that have driven all over the country. So if you're looking for something to do this summer, that would be an opportunity I would encourage you to participate in. Peter says their first Bronco was the Bullnose, meaning 1980 through 86. I'll bet it was brown, just a guess. Granddad's junk. Mopar fan myself. Custom lines and an old Morris. Hey, yeah, I had that old Morris Woody wagon. Got it running. That was probably the most impulsive will it run I've ever done. I had a high school kid here that was really good at working on things, and we'd worked on something in the morning, and we were bored in the afternoon, and I said, that Morris wagon's a British car. There's no way it's going to run. They're cantankerous, blah, blah, blah. And I had that one really surprise me. People say the same thing about late model BMWs, but I had a 91, I think, 5 Series, and that was probably one of the best cars I ever had. Little $25 parts fixed that car. I bought it not running very well. It would run. $10 crank sensor, just little things here and there. So I know there are horror stories about European cars, but it's something I'm not opposed to them at all. I mean, I know there's always a chance to buy one and get upside down in it, but the ones that I've had actually have kind of treated me well. Dean says, retired firefighter and paramedic. Grew up with the cars and trucks. Dean, thank you for your service. I appreciate those type of people. I was a firefighter for 14 years. Just resigned that a year ago. Various reasons on that. There's a bit of, you see these NBA players and these football guys that retire at about 40 is considered old, and that's similar to being a firefighter. It is a very, very. Whoop, I got a call, man. I guess YouTube doesn't mute those. So another car guy, Quentin. If you're probably not here on the live, but I'll catch you later, my friend. So yeah, I appreciate the firefighters. That is a profession that you have really got to be not only physically competent, but it takes a tremendous amount of just situational preparedness, and you're going to see things in that profession that there's not a way to prepare for. And a lot of people ask, like, what do I need to do to be a firefighter or paramedic? And the one thing that I would say, you don't think about it, but more important than any skill probably is just your ability to psychologically distance yourself from that situation and just make it about the skills. Tune out a lot of what else is going on and just hit that set of skills. Anybody that has done it and is doing it, major respect. Jay says he kicks himself for selling 65 and 66 Mustang fastbacks, just the shells. Yeah, so at McPherson College, I watched them restore. It was an East Coast rust car, like the whole bottom 2 feet of it were just gone, and they trained the kids how to build a car out of panels, and they started with the roof and repro stuff. And that was probably one of the best types of cars to do that, because Mustang panels are cheap and reproed, and if a kid welds it wrong, then they cut it out and the next class gets to try. So yeah, those fastbacks, if you only knew some of this stuff back when they were just basic transportation cars, what they would be worth now, yeah, a lot of decisions differently would have been made. Jim says, you're the Amtrak ticket agent in Newton. Hey, man. So the Amtrak station in Newton is 1931, I believe, is when that was built, maybe a year or two older. The Amtrak station in Newton is designed on William Shakespeare's home at Stratford-on-Avon in England. And so that is a centerpiece of Harvey County and Newton architecture. So, Jim, you might have sold us a ticket there. Steve's asking, did I get the parts to put the GTO back together? So I have got a lot of the major expensive stuff for that. I actually bought an engine for it. Basically, that last video I shot, you pretty much see in there what I have for the car. I did get a PHS, which is Pontiac Historical Services documentation for that car, and nothing real spectacular or crazy on options. That's one of those that I probably will not touch until my dad is gone. Dad's 76, and you can see he's starting to get tired. And so whatever I do work on, I will prioritize ones that are his while he's still around. And hopefully there's some of me left to go around after that that I can get back on that GTO. He says if he remembers right, I'm 6 foot 515 pounds. Okay, that's a stretch. I am 6'3" and 150, I think. So, funny anecdotal side piece here. I still fit the clothes that I wore in eighth grade. I've not gained an inch or gained a pound since eighth grade. So, in human body weights, there's a terminology called set point. So, if you're curious and want to do some non-automotive reading, go look up set points. And that is just a part of the way the human body it makes it hard to either drop weight or add weight. I know I ate like crazy in high school and never gained a pound. Made a lot of the cheerleaders jealous, I think. Joe's making fun of my high water pants. People need to send me jeans. Well, we actually hit the don't send me jeans, but 29, 36 is like the ideal pant size. Scott says hello from North Carolina. He showed his 75-year-old dad my channel, and now catch him watch it. Hey, thank you. Yeah, I hope there's things on there that he finds. I know a lot of people watch on smart TVs, which for the vertical like this, it's fine to watch a live. But if I was going to go out in the yard and do a live, that vertical makes it tough. So. I actually don't know how a person would comment from watching on a smart TV. So I know a lot of you guys that are watching either on laptops or on phones, you're able to comment. But yeah, appreciate you guys showing this stuff, and I tell people if you like the content, watch. If you don't, find something you do like. But I do appreciate for something that I did start when I was bored during the pandemic. It means just a huge amount that there's a lot of you guys that also think it's neat. So, Bob Soap, enjoy the content. I enjoy that you guys come and watch. The Chucker, greetings from Charles City, Iowa. Not sure where that is at, but home of Oliver tractors. Yeah, Oliver, probably one of my favorite tractor brands. They kind of fly below the radar a little bit, but the style and the company history is really neat. Okay, so Joe asks, am I coming to the car show at McPherson? So for the Central Kansas people, that is the toughest weekend of the year because that is the Newton Car Show, the McPherson College Car Show, and the Lawrence Swap Meet. And so most of those years, I find myself splitting between the three. I do have a big value item that's pre-sold that needs to go to Lawrence. So even though I went to Lawrence last year, that's a bit of a pull. I always like to see the McPherson Car Show. Any of you guys, there's stuff that is worth driving to see. They get some really, really neat vehicles in there. So Joe, I can't say yes or no on that one. But it's a guaranteed the first weekend of May. That's either swap meet or a show, no matter what. Just the choices where. Joseph says hello from North Dakota. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. There's another auction, I think, coming up either there or maybe eastern Montana, but I'm not quite sure what or where or when. 67 to 68 Mercury pickup. Probably better look in Canada for that one. I can't say I've ever seen one here. Okay, so Gary asked, did I set up a Century 2? I actually did not. So I had a 78 Malibu that was sold, and it was one that was in one of these videos. I bought it for 1,000 and had a deal made for 3,000. And I looked at the junk in my garage, and I looked at 3 days of setup and sitting there, and I asked, would I really be able to do $3,000 of business at the swap meet, or should I just sell the Malibu? And so the choice was to sell the Malibu. But I did walk around. I Friday morning, I was still getting the Malibu out and loaded, and so a lot of guys I didn't see, but I did walk around Friday afternoon and Saturday, and saw a lot of people. So it does mean a lot to see you guys every year that are local. I know a lot of people. We look for each other. Car guys are kind of crazy like that. Dan from Ohio says Defiance, no auctions with old cars. Yeah, I so there's been a few things that on this channel have been uh, revelations to me, and that's one that just how unique it is here in central Kansas to be there. So Scott, long time. Cold War Motors, yes, absolutely, 100% yes. Those are the guys. I wish if I lived like 500 miles from there, I'd go up several times a year. But man, the crossing the border thing, it's too far, too far. Roy says bootlegger cars, none that I'm aware of. Um, Cold War. Yeah, Scott's a great dude. I realize I'm pretty behind in the comments, and we're an hour and 6 minutes in. Bunk says, hey from Tennessee. Hello, hello. Daryl says, see G20 grill. Yes, I've got a chrome van and I've got a painted van. The painted van is just a junker, but I hate to get rid of it. And then the other three will probably end up on eBay. Horror stories of buying cars. Ugh. I'm sure. So I'm going to use a psychological term here, uh, and now I've blanked it out. But that's you blank things out. So if I have, I'm sure I've let go of them by now. Have I added many oil cans? Here and there, but not too many. Actually, we got the motor rhythm. Lucky to have so many old cars. Not enough to choose from. Yeah, every country's different. Keith loves to watch every week. Dean Jones is on a square body build. Good soul. Ryan, congrats on 5 years. Wondering how high the reserves are on their drag strip cars. That I'm not really sure. That was just puzzling to me. How on a platform like Hybrid that's nationally, how there wasn't more interest. That I'm not sure. Some of them they're pretty transparent about, and then others. I always am of the opinion that if you're going to have a reserve on a car, just make that the opening bid. If you want 10,000 for it, tell them that's the price. And if three guys want it and it's bid to 15, then the car sells. And if 10's the number and nobody thinks they're ready to spring for it that day, then they know where the negotiating point is. I get the reserve, but I get transparency also. So Bunk says he likes the crunchy stuff. Yeah, just the floors have got to patch the stomp test, or else you got to get the welder out. Impala Man, hello from West Virginia. Where was the drag strip auction at? That was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Rich loves the 73 Town and Country. Yeah, I do too. It's a cool car. Buckeye Jim, hello. John Chambers, if you're back in Cherokee County, Southwest, Heartlands Railroad Museum. Okay. Don't have any plans. I'm actually really pretty tethered to home for building projects this year. Uh, Jester, hey Jester. Past your bedtime? Yeah, probably so. Cash for clunkers, yeah, don't get me started on that. That was not a good deal. Richard says, appreciate the effort. Thank you. Hello, Stephanie. Hello, Jester. We will see each other soon. Jester is the guy that helps me out on some of these will it runs. And I like to say, some of these guys are car guys, and some of these guys are friends. And Jester, do appreciate your friendship, and look for any way I can to reciprocate because I know you're a very giving soul, and I do appreciate that more than you know. Daryl says 74 four-door Monaco turned it into a Blues Brothers car and it went to England. Awesome, awesome. I have got 5 Bluesmobile projects, and I would love to spread uh, some of those to other people if they're wanting one. Tim, Jeff, 73, same color. Yeah, so the 73 Town and Country, that car in that color was the catalog brochure cover model. And I ordered the brochure, and as crazy as everything went with that Will It Run, after I finished that video and uploaded it, I looked at the brochure there laying on the desk. And I was like, yeah, I forgot to put that in. So, Jeff, yeah, they're great cars. Site 6 Manual, says Bunk. Desert Garage. Yep, he was the guy that bought the very first car sold, the Omega. So Desert Garage 76, if you ever want to see the little Omega. Redacted! One of you guys got your messages held for review. Bob says, Jamie at Dead Dodge Garage. No, I haven't. My time goes to finding this old stuff and editing, and there's just I wish I could live to be 237 and put in 31 hours a day, but it's just not the way it goes. Jeep is just everyone else's parts. Yeah, that's true. Jeep moved so many different. Man, they started out with the Willies, and then they moved to Kaiser, AMC, Chrysler, and then all the wackadoodle companies that Chrysler got folded with, Daimler and Fiat, and yeah, Jeep is everyone else's in the U.S. and then everyone else's globally. So, Peter, that is a very good analysis of Jeep. Slant 6 four-door Valiant, yeah, rusty, needs an oil pump. Yeah, we'll get an oil pump in. Brush Prairie, Washington. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Don says hello from Oregon. See the yards. Yeah, I know, man. So, what Don says about these salvages, it's unfortunate that salvages seldom tend to pass through subsequent generations of ownership. If you ever get the chance to go down to Perky's in Coffeyville, that was his dad's yard, and it's a really neat place to go look at because it's walking back in time. And a second generation salvage is very exceptional, and so any of them that are around, if a guy ever gets the chance, they're just like a museum without a roof. Okay, Tim says, good night to you. Western Massachusetts, desirable 4-doors. So, funny you say that, Hugh, because the 67 Impala 4-door is more desirable than a 2-door. Other than that, I just like 4-door cars because for $5,000 you can get a 4-door that's a respectable driver, or you can get a 2-door that's a stripped out carcass that you've got to do a lot of work to. So you don't see the set of doors looking through the dash and across the hood, I guess. So to me, the enjoyment is definitely just the same there for the 4-doors. More revivals, yeah. Look for that. I've got another helper. I think that's contacted me about coming out, so I might film that. A few of those that we do. What's it corner? Yeah. It's just something. If I don't know what it is, I'm gonna put the what's it corner on, and you guys are pretty good about helping out. Leah, Howdy, howdy, welcome, welcome, West Virginia. Bob from Erie. Erie's good country. Oil pump, yeah. Spanaway, Washington, Stephen. Two-door post, yes. So I don't know if that's a regional thing, but two-door post, two-door sedan, confusing nomenclature. I say it one way and I get hit about it the other way, and so maybe I'll switch it up a little more. But for now, I'm calling it sedan because I've gotten nailed a few times for calling them posts. Excuse me, Lost Hubcap. Thank you for the work. Oh, thank you for watching. I appreciate every one of you. Oh yeah, Kevin Smith says don't forget the debut on American Pickers. So that was October of 2018. The episode was called One Wheel Deal, and that was a one-wheel trailer that we had out here. Really fun day. Brian asks, how's the battle going? The battle has been pretty pacified. Uh, the law has to be the law, and I'm all about following it on my end. But the law needs to be administered fairly. And that's the great thing about living in a republic is that guys decide the law, and as long as you've got good people at the top on enforcement and you've got good people under that are obedient, then the law works. If you've got people out of hand on either end of it, and it's also important that the people that are administrating it have to remember that they're citizens too. And so for anyone to act and behave as if they're above it, you're going to run into trouble. Politics, yeah, we just talked about that. Freeways are bad. Construction, yeah, road constriction, we call it. John, back in the day, well-rounded and intelligent. Yeah, I appreciate the compliments. Just, yeah, try and have a little bandwidth beyond cars, because these farms and things, you're gonna see more than just the vehicles. Edward from Puyallup. Hey, Raymond, junkyard picking 70s and 80s. Hugh, makes and models. Yep, that was me early on, and probably a lot of all of us. We are at 231 watchers and an hour and 17 in, so I'm gonna give some more time here. I realize I'm like super, like way mega far behind on the comments, so I need to get stepping up here. Oh man, it may all run out one day. Yeah, I don't know. I joke with Silas that there's still a factory somewhere in Kansas where they're building 50s and 60s farm trucks, and I say that as a joke, but man, it doesn't seem like a joke because, well, you'll see the next video I post. There's rows of farm trucks just still laying everywhere. It's amazing. Someone would love to get a tour. I have vehicles on Marketplace. That's my main selling platform. So if you do message me, uh, unfortunately, it takes a lot of time to see them, and it's time I don't get paid for. So I like to show them to paying customers. But I'm easy to get along with. So if you want to come look, get with me. Apologize if I've skipped over some here. Pat from Land O'Lakes. What item are you looking for today? I would love to find some new old stock or reman brake calipers for the New Yorker wagon, because all that's available for them is kits. So I guess we're going to figure out how to rebuild brake calipers. The dean says he's calling tonight. That's probably a long time ago. Austin Marina, Chris, hello, Doug, Desert Garage, Alamogordo. Dalton was just out in Alamogordo, and that's a haul. I don't know that I would be able to get back out there, but I might take a look. Hello from Massachusetts. So the Ambassador 4-speed, that car got sold to a watcher of the channel in Arkansas, and I helped him get that thing loaded up, get it home. He's, I think, attempting to get it unstuck. I think he's got the heads off, and then I think he found another running engine. I do need to send him the title for that, so if he is watching, I have not forgot about that, and it's here, and I will not shirk that duty. Jeff from West Texas, land of sun-baked interiors and rust-free metal. Brian, we should go to Bud's. Yeah, I've got a list going. I just haven't had anything bring me toward the Allen, Oklahoma area. Decent chunk of land. Yeah, old classics. Yeah, it takes land. Chris from Canada, do I remember you? I'm trying to think what we would have talked about. Dana, Michael, Olds 98. That one's a sore spot for me because I watched a four-door get crushed, and I wish I'd saved that car. There's got to be some around. John's Muscle Car Parts in Wymore, Nebraska, and then his uncle Lewis, possibly. I don't know if Trenton Brown, Sunset, Texas, maybe Chad Ehrlich in Great Bend, Nobody's Show. There's got to be some around. There might be one at Perky's there in Coffeyville, maybe at Bud's in Allen, Oklahoma. Those are the ones off the top of my head. Yeah, first gen Monties, don't see a lot of those, Jim. Okay, so we're back. I really apologize if I miss any of you guys. Okay, most impressed and identify the details. Yep, just familiarization and being around them. You'd squirm if I told you some that were derbied. Yeah, I know. If you want to, I know it's not derby, but if you go look at one of the Herbie movies, there's like 15 minutes of like circle track racing, and it's all 55 Chevys. So yeah, it's kind of neat to see. But if every old car was around, well, they wouldn't be worth what they're worth. So Kevin hit the like, thank you. Michael from Ingleside, Illinois, thank you. Did I think I would be this popular? If you had shown me today and told me, if you'd shown me then and told me today what it would be like today, you know what I'm trying to say, I would have had no idea. This is something that, again, I'm very grateful that it has resonated with you guys. I know the algorithm has a lot to do with it, and they say, hey, it resonates with people, and they keep showing it and keep putting it out there, and it keeps getting more of you guys to find it. And so I definitely appreciate that. Like identifying the vehicles, yeah, it's, yep, 67 fastback sold for 2,500. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the values of these cars. There's always a point where they hit their low curve, and then the collectability comes back up. But boy, it takes a lot of them to go to the junkyard and go away before that curve. 55 Packard, awesome. Yeah, that's a unique car. Very cool. Oldsmobile parts. If you're looking for specific stuff, email me. Mr. Goodpliers 1985 at gmail.com. Buzz and Concord, Car Crazy, Dale Earnhardt, born in Canopolis. Yeah, I actually owned a 49 Lincoln that was the same year and model that the first NASCAR race was won in, and that guy was from Halstead, Kansas. It was Jim Roper. And so that was a little NASCAR connection to here in Kansas, which I know nothing like you guys on the East Coast, but yep. Frank, hello, Andy, Chad, Silas. How's the Plymouth going? Andy, if you're still on here, I know I'm like terribly, terribly behind. Tell me which one that is. Classic Tire. Hey, thanks for the super chat there. Bentley and F3. Oh, really? Oh, really? Okay. Man, of 67 Bentley, I would prioritize circling by the McPherson show probably to see those. Whiz, now I know how far behind we are. Cannot sing a tune. Love the videos. What do I use to go to auctions? And a trailer? DOT. So my plan, I hope none of you are watching if you're a DOT officer, but my plan is if I ever really get called on a lot of this, to tell them the truth, that this is my hobby and I'm just a guy out here doing it. I know there's laws and rules, and I know safety's important, but I've never caused an accident, and I've never had an accident towing. So, not to toot my horn, but safety is a mindset. It's important that equipment be safe too. But what do I tow with? 2008 Chevy Express van with a 6-liter. My dad had one and I borrowed it, and I realized it was a great 4-wheeled motel room, and I realized that it was great at pulling Joe's 2-car trailer when I borrowed it, and so I bought my own 2-car trailer, and so that's the rig. Andy from Iowa, Mark from Arizona, Frank from Illinois, Peter. Build a gas station. So when I talk about my projects having concrete and dirt, that gas station's in the plan. Really hoping to get to that while my dad is still around. I really hope so. Daryl, definitely email me. I have got 5 of those 74 Monaco projects, and I would love to sell you one. Eugene, train fam, farm lover. Those are a lot of things I like too. Doing awesome. Focus on Malays. That is both. I actually really like them, and a lot of other people really like them too. Do I have the lovely 55 Pontiac? That was a 51, and it was sold to a really neat guy that's like all about his 50s and 60s GM Survivor cars. So that one got placed in the right appropriate hands. Eugene's from Virginia. My dad grew up in Fairfax, Falls Church area, so love the Virginia. Tater, hit that like. Yep, so many rivets and weld nuts. Yeah, they're all built their own way until the rust falls them apart. 83 Omega. Yeah, that was a neat car. I'm glad to see that one get new life. Victoria, Australia, 1 p.m. Hey, we could go till midnight. You guys still be awake. Crown Vic, Daily Driver. Sedan, yeah. There's a lot of nomenclature around these cars, but yeah, hardtop doesn't have a post, but it has a hard roof, which yeah, that confuses a lot of people. Roy from Colorado, yeah. Peter, yeah, I know there's differences in the other. Holy Grail car, what would I like to find? Probably would be like a 30s Cadillac 3-window coupe. And could be a LaSalle, but the V8s, the V12s, the V16s, they're just something about those cars that, oh my goodness, make the heart flutter. Rusted Metal, hello, hello. Mercmad, well made, yeah. Some better than others. Okay, I'm gonna get a little ahead. 350, no LS swaps, no row riders. Yep. All stock down to the hubcaps is how God and General Motors intended them to be, and I do my best to keep them that way. Live stream rebuilding calipers. You guys could offer some pointers. Joe is kind of my go-to brake guy. And so one of these days, it's probably if he wasn't on vacation and I had the kits, I probably would have gone down to his place and worked on that. Tell Joe hi, laugh at his antics. Yeah, good night for real. Okay, yep. Packard parts, I do not right now. More guys weighing in on the post versus hardtop. Maverick parts, no. If somebody's looking for a really good, clean Maverick project, there is one around that I'm aware of. The green 210. So that whole Chevy deal was not my deal. If you go look, I don't know how you'd find it here on the channel, but I posted a link to the Facebook Marketplace ad, and that car was actually owned by someone else, and I don't know if they picked it up or if that was one that was getting sold, and I don't know the price on it. But again, look for that post. If you're not able to find it, email me and I can send you a link. I know as they've been posting those cars and selling them, they keep putting the ads up, taking them down rather than editing them, which is fine. Just makes it a little harder for me to find them. Jake says this is enjoyable. Yeah, I really enjoy the live too, and I'm actually kind of sad that it took me almost 2 years to do it. I think I was just so embarrassed and ashamed that I'd done a whole live stream of a car corral sideways that it kind of nailed my confidence. So I appreciate you guys getting that back. Frank, nice. Yeah, it's been awesome. Like it went boom, 200 and then like 275. I was like, great. So we're still at 200. I'm going to keep going. Joe, good night. Desert Garage. Yep. 5 a.m. Yeah, that's early. Okay. Weekly content. Yep. No matter what, we'll put one out every week. So appreciate you, Lou. New Jersey 80s Jam. Yeah, I know it's half the world thinks it's a classic and half the world thinks it's a clunker. So there's middle ground, I suppose. Yeah, Nova, Omega. I've got a 78, I believe, Omega and a 75 as the Skylark. Parts cars. Chris, hello. Go, Joe, go. Yeah, that man has an incredible physical capacity, much more than I do in my toothpick arms. But I'm very, very blessed to call him a friend, and he's a comrade, and we get along together. And I think a lot of what helps us get along together is just the different division of labor when we're out on one of these auction deals. His family, they were loggers in Montana, and so his ability to know how to recover some of these out of the woods, and his ability to use equipment, and just his mechanical fluency really, really is something that I appreciate. So, okay, now we're caught up again. Packards are great. So I actually have a, 50, I want to say it's a 2 or a 3. There was not a huge amount of differentiation in those years. It's a straight 8. It's an Ultramatic. I hear bad things about that Ultramatic, so I'm a little scared, but Packard's a Packard, and it's a 2-door hardtop. The guy, it's a really, really neat story, and I don't want to tell it wrong. So I bought that out of Garden City from Tractor Mike, a good friend of Chad's, and I need to get with Tractor Mike and get the actual story on that Packard because it really is a neat one. That one is pen deep in the yard, so do not expect a will it drive maybe in this decade on it. Okay. How did Joe and I begin as a team? So we went around to auctions, and for him, it was just a hobby. For me, it was a business. The first one that we really ever got real close on was Shidler, Oklahoma, and that was a great little place. And we started trading back and forth. And there's always, so for these car guys, I know like Chad and Tractor Mike, and then like my friend Brett and I and Joe, and like every guy that's into the same thing. Like the first time you meet someone, it's like this is a guy that's like competing for the same stuff that you want at a sale. And for like a couple hours, there's this like spy versus spy Mad Magazine tension between you. And then like at the end, sometimes as you're loading, you're like appreciating their eye for it. And then that's kind of so I'm gonna bring in another non-automotive reference here. So Tuckman's theory of group formation, the stages are storming, norming, conforming, and performing. So there's that storming phase where you just and there's guys that never get past that. Like my dad had friends in the antique business, and then there were guys that like they'd show up at the auction and it was going to be a battle. There was never moving beyond that to the other three stages. So cool toy show in the back. Yeah, that little Lancer, we're definitely going to do a short on it. 58 Olds promo. So I don't know if you guys know much about those early promos, but the plastic was different polymer and they warp like crazy. So it's just kind of something that goes with the territory. South Carolina classic cars, always looking for parts. If there's something specific, William, just email me. Daryl says he dropped me an email. Okay, awesome. I will look for that. Rear fenders for 46 Chevy truck, good luck. There was a time where those were bringing delusionally crazy money on eBay. I have seen that they've started reproducing those in the past few years. So if you do find them, that's really your only option because a used one, they're all just beat right off the beds. Michael says he sent an email. I will look for those. Yeah, Joe definitely does have a PhD in trailer loading. That man, physical capacity, he can run circles around me. Michael, appreciate you being on the chat. Frank, appreciate you. Willie, have I come across a quadrajet I couldn't beat? Okay, so we are going to go a little bit in the weeds on quadrajets. So there is a car that I've been working on that I have gotten a bit of a graduate level study in quadrajets on. So on a quadrajet, the uh, fuel inlet is kind of the first place to start. So your Chevrolet have it at a right angle to the front of the carburetor. Actually, funny you ask about quadrajets because we have a tool teaching aid here. So this one that comes straight out the front, this particular carb is off of a 305 Chevy. Or maybe a 307 Oldsmobile, I can't remember. But anyway, it's got the straight out the front. These plastic plugs are for the computer command control system. Three hard words to spit out together. So that's an electronically controlled carburetor, which actually uses an ECU and a feedback system. And you hear these guys talk about, I got to rip off the smog junk. Well, if you do that, you need a whole different carburetor and you need a whole different distributor, and you're going to have major problems to try and do that. So I have actually, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but there's a car that you've seen on the channel that I'm going to be doing a full refurbishment on from start to finish. And so that one, now you kind of know it has a quadrajet, I guess. So get your guesses in. But I'm going to do a full refurbishment on that one. Hopefully by the end of the year, would have that one finished up. But yeah, I've been getting. So one other thing I learned about quadrajets, Thank you to my friend Andy from Colorado, who's very encyclopedic about them. CFM on a quadrijet really doesn't matter because of the way the primaries and the secondaries are set up. So one from a 305 and one from a 455, the big spread really doesn't matter a whole lot. It just by the way they're designed. So I got really in the weeds on that because the big engines, by the time they'd switched over to the computer command control, I was searching by CFM and then finally got clued in on that. I was like, nope, just pick one. A 455 will go on 305, 307, 350, no problem. So need to join Toy Tuesday. Yeah, Chad gets a hold of some cool stuff. Daryl says he's about hit to bed. Yeah, this was an impulsive thing, so everybody that was able to jump on. I know East Coast guys, it's probably late, and West Coast guys, it's early. So good thing we're in the Central Time Zone, I suppose. Fiberglass. Yeah, live quad cutaway. It's doable. You'd need a bandsaw, I guess, and something to catch the dust in. Yeah, yeah, the rails. I don't want to toot my horn, but the rails were my idea. I looked at that and I was like, couldn't you put something there? And yeah, sure enough, we could. We actually loaded half a school bus with those, which was one of the first few things we did. And I remember Joe looking at me. He's like, if this won't work for half a school bus, it won't work for anything. And whoop, right up the trailer it went. David says Rockfield Classic Mopars in Kentucky. Yeah, enjoy the around the yard projects. Yeah, it's more of an adventure channel for the algorithm at least. I like working on stuff, the projects. It's fun, but those ones struggle to get 20,000 views. Love the videos and see pop up. Yeah, it is amazing to me. Like there's majorly big YouTubers around in our area, like Hoovy's Garage and Weston Champlin and the Car Wizard. Watch JR Go. A lot of those guys, for whatever reason, in this area, there's just a bunch of them. Dalton, hey, every time you see the name Dalton, just a reminder, put pressure on him. Take on the square body project with me. We're gonna make that thing go, but only if you guys help me poke him and stir him that direction. Consoles. Okay, so 66 Galaxy shares Thunderbird bucket seats. So 6456 T-Birds. You might get a hold of Joe on that. His email is rustranchkansas@gmail.com. The Galaxy console will be a little bit tougher. I've got one of those single seats. If Joe'd have another, he might have a pair. Uh, we didn't show it on the channel, but there's a big salvage up in St. Joseph, Missouri area where Joe bought one of those cars. So yeah, long way to say email Joe, rustranchkansas@gmail.com. And he's got rows of 60s Galaxies. So any of your Galaxies of that area, definitely hit him up for parts. He likes his Fords. Sean says station wagons, 60s Mopars, vintage items. Yep, that's the stuff I like, Sean. Don't stray too far if you want to see more of it. Quadrajet, lost a ton of knowledge. Yeah, yeah, dancing. I could see that. Yeah, and it's funny the idea that they had. For fuel metering and emissions, a lot of those things that they proofed and they test bedded there, your original OBD1 EFI systems really got that. And then OBD2, it was refined more with port injection. And it's funny about that dancing needle because that's what fuel injection does. It's constantly pulsing rich lean, and it's a feedback with that oxygen sensor down in the tailpipe, which is what the CCC carburetors had, was their feedback from the oxygen sensor. Should do more lives. Yeah, you guys have got my confidence back. I know you guys are interested. Man, we've been an hour and 45 minutes and there's still 200 of you on here. I panicked a bit at the beginning. I was like, yeah, I hope we get 3 or 4. Central Nebraska, here and there. So I've got to put a plug out. One of the next probably 2 or 3 videos I drop is probably one of the greatest Nebraska finds that we've ever run across. Uh, Central Nebraska, if any of you know, in the Harvard area, is Zach Rudy. He has Rudy's Classic Auto, and he does a lot similar to what Joe and I do. And so if you guys are looking for old parts, his stuff is very similar to Joe's, a lot of 40s, 50s, 60s, a lot of truck stuff. I will try and, man, I wish there was like a bulletin board or something I could post rather than just doing posts on Facebook, or not Facebook here, but YouTube. Because like those posts, I don't know how many people see them because I only get a few comments on them. But for Zach Rudy's yard there, I'll definitely at least post that in the video there. Will you ever bet on a premium bike? Man, so Jay, that was one of those like once in a lifetime thing. I hate to box myself in by saying that it wouldn't happen again, but it would be very exceptional if everything all aligned for it to be that way. But I do have to say that Meekum does a bike sale every year in Las Vegas, and there's a chance for a road trip. I'm not saying like I draw the things in my life like in a target. There's like the bullseye is like what I need to do that day, and it's what I'm focused on. And then there's like all these other rings in the bullseye, and that one's probably, like, you can see my hands are not on the screen right now. Probably what would be the Las Vegas motorcycle Meekum sale for me, but never say never. Okay, the rails. Yep, we did the rails. Mixer control. Yep, live session. Hey, Lou, thanks for jumping in. Frank says thumbs up. David, Zach likes the Studebakers. Yeah, that 47 Land Cruiser car, that's my dad's Starlight Coupe. Just awesome, awesome styling on that car. My dad, you can tell he's getting tired. He's kind of declining, and not the energy that he used to have. And he told me one day, he's like, I'm okay with you selling that Studebaker if you want to. And I'm like, Dad, no, that car's too cool. I want to put a drivetrain in that thing and make it run and move. Well, Chris says 100 miles south. Muhammad from Malaysia. You are probably the maybe number 4, number 5 long distance award now. So that is a great achievement for you. Appreciate you watching. Frank, home of the Hot Wheels overdrive transmission for the Dodge. Not sure on that. I would have to know if that's a fluid drive or a regular overdrive. Chad and Great Bend, possibly. Those cars, it's just like they were everywhere, and there's a lot of them gone away. That's going to be a tough one. Jay, thank you for stopping by the channel. Mike, we should buy some stuff from Silas. Yeah, that's one of those things, like, we're all in the same business, and we have gone out there and shopped in the past. So Silas is an hour from me. Joe would be probably 2 hours. And so some of these things, like, I know when we're running our own yards, it's a place that you get kind of tethered to. So yeah, being able to get away and do that sort of thing. I look around at Silas's stuff, and there's a lot of things that I've bought from him in the past, and there's certain stuff there that's like if I don't have a place to go with it, if there's not something that I'm into or that I know that I can do something with it, then he is another reseller. He has the platforms in the marketplace and all the other things, and so that's his sales channels also. And unfortunately, yeah, one of his buyers it goes by the ton, and so I get this whole deal of, man, trying to deal with the general public and sell stuff. Um, Excuse me, like my parents have started selling some of their antique stuff on marketplace, and they'll ask me, they're like, what's it like selling a marketplace? I'm like, Dad, Mom, like, you gotta kiss a lot of frogs, and you've gotta have the I guess emotional maturity to know that you're going to have a lot of conversations with people you think are going to buy, and they will go poof. That is just, uh, it's kind of a joke about marketplace, but it's not maybe a joke even. But a lot of people will scroll marketplace by them doing their business, and uh, they have interest while they're on the porcelain throne, and by the time they flush, they've not not maintained any follow through. So yeah, I can't say that that's when I look at marketplace, but there's some that do. So yeah, I know a lot of Silas's stuff. Yeah, there's got to be buyers, and if they're not, then there's always a buyer that gets it by the pound. So, Rich talks about the ASC. Yeah, OBD2. That was something. Uh, by the time I was in high school shop class, OBD2 was here to stay, and so we studied on that quite a lot. Funny thing about I know like all of you guys are like way past deciding your career trajectory, but my decision for my career trajectory was in high school. I absolutely knew I wanted to do something with cars. Like there was no like discussion, no negotiation. It was going to be old cars, cars. And so I had like three or four offers when I graduated high school. One was for a tire shop. One was for a community college to do late model vehicles, and then one was for McPherson College, and then I guess there was Pittsburgh, which was a state college, um, which is where Chad graduated from. And yeah, you have a bit of time to think of what you want to do, and going to college or picking the first place you work isn't necessarily something you're boxed into the rest of your life, but I did have the sense of awareness that if I worked on late model cars, it was just going to be this never ending progression of things that you would always have to learn and have to know. And I looked at these old cars, I was like, number one, I thought they were neat to start with. And number two, the technology of 1932, of 1948, of 1971, that's the technology. Like that's the closed canon, and so on your end, like you already know the technology of what you're working on, then it's just up to you to find the methods for you to work on it. Whereas if, and especially like seeing the way that the hot mess and dumpster fire of a lot of these late model cars are now, like even Toyota and Honda are having rampant quality problems. And I have a friend that he works in the warranty division with like fleet, like rental cars and police forces and taxi companies and that sort of thing. And man, some of the stuff that they have to deal with, It's a domestic historical name, which I'll protect, I guess what that is. But I guess I don't even have to say what it is because any brand you mention could be a hot dumpster fire. So if anybody's watched the uh, Fight Club movies. It's just a great midlife crisis. The guy like works in a warranty department, and he's like navigating midlife crisis, and so Fight Club is one of those movies that it came out when I was in high school, and I didn't watch it till maybe a year or two ago, and I really think like to watch it in my mid 30s, like it's just the zeitgeist of this time of life. So it'll be curious what I'll think of it maybe when I'm 75 or 80 and go watch it again. So weird cars like shorties or two front ends. So I do have that 62 Lancer wagon that's a shorty. I've got a slant six for it. I found a rear axle. That is just a super cool car. That one really would be good for a Dalton revival. Again, if you guys, I know I've asked you to put pressure on him about the four-wheel drive truck, but hit him on that shorty Lancer wagon too, because I would absolutely bring that thing if he'd get together and collaborate with me and work on that. Just want to add OD. Okay, so Joe has a 39 Chrysler out there, which is a very rare overdrive transmission. I don't know anything about the man. Uh, we've also got like a 54 Dodge, I think 53 Dodge, and then 53 and 4 Plymouth they optioned with a lot of overdrives. So there is a chance of being able to retro engineer something that would work. I know there was a lot of continuity in those years. There's a lot of things that are close, and then I'm not a real mechanical guy. I'm not a gears and bolts guy. So I acquire a lot of knowledge secondhand and from interchange manuals. But yeah, there's a chance you might. So Joe is rustranchkansas at gmail.com is his email. I know we've sold a bunch of those overdrives. I think there might be a couple left out there. Jump the shark. Respect to the walking automotive encyclopedia. I appreciate that. Yeah. Few oddities. 38 Dodge Brothers and 47 Plymouth. Yeah, my dad and I almost bought a 47 Plymouth for $800 when I was just getting started at this in 1998. And I spent that 800 on a 63 Fairlane instead. And I think that 47 Plymouth probably still about an $800 car in that condition. It may still be. That was up by Hillsboro, Kansas, and it may still be sitting in their barn. Is the car that I'm going to do the car of the year, the 77? I mean, that's a 77 Caprice that we saved out of a field. That car was just on the brink of spoiled fuel tank and soft brakes, and I just saved it in the nick of time. The paint was flat, was something we buffed out, and that was really gratifying to bring that thing back to life. I would like to sell that car probably because there's three types of people in the world. You have the builders, you have the collectors, and you have the drivers. And I consider myself a collector. And that's a car that it's still plated, it's insured. I could go throw a battery in that thing, stomp the pedal, and go get some ice cream. But it's just, I guess the enjoyment of a car for me isn't necessarily in driving it. I know to the guys that are in the driver group of enthusiasts, and that's how you enjoy your cars. It's going to sound crazy for you to hear that from me, but for me the enjoyment is in the collecting. Dodge Aspen, I would love to get that thing going. I really like that car. It's just got a good beater vibe to it. 3-speed Mopar. Factory manual shift is pretty uncommon. Jay says, thanks for the laid back character and knowledge. Yeah, I mean, every year is its own. Um, Cold War motors, 50s to 70s is their thing, and they just, yeah, they really eat that stuff up, and I love seeing what they find because each one has its own style and its own uniqueness. Was auto school fun? Absolutely. I had a blast. I had found my tribe, and those were just awesome, awesome years. That was amazingly good time for me. And college is not for everyone. It absolutely isn't. And a lot of college now, you'd probably be better off spending your money on other things. But I can say for me specifically, it was very good, very life changing, and made me connections that I still have now, and absolutely worth it. Uh, Carburetors and chrome bumpers, not interested in the new junk. Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff that is junk, and there's a lot of stuff that, man, that 2008 Chevy Express van that I drive, I one of these videos like way back when I did the vlogmas for Christmas was all of my dad's work vans. And so just showing the progression of those, like a 69 Dodge van with a column shift 3-speed and all the archaic technology on a 69 Dodge A100. And then his next one was a 79. And then his next one, he had some fuel injected minivans in there. Um, we had an 82 Dodge that we drove for a while. It was about like the 79, except not as ragged out and rusty. His next van was a 98 Chevy Express with that Vortec engine. And I just remember what an absolute world of difference that van was. Just a leap beyond those old carbureted Dodges. And not that the carburetor was bad, but just the Dodge itself, it was a half-ton van, and we pushed the limits with those things. But that fuel injected Vortec engine, man, just the power that it made. And then these 6-liter LS engines, man, to tow with, and they're so my express van. I didn't put anything about it on the channel, but I kind of got burned on that one. I'd been watching them for a while, and I had saved up like 8,000 was kind of the number where they're trading at. So vans are a lot harder to find deals on than like pickups and Tahoes and Suburbans and Escalades. Those are people movers. The van is a cargo mover, and so the people that buy vans initially, like the first owners, are companies and businesses. And the other problem you have is that the Chevy Express styling has not changed since 2003. So it's like 22 years, and you don't need to trade up a vehicle purely for image to get the next later looking revision of the styling. So these vans get completely run into the ground before they're given up. And so the used market, there's just not a lot of trade in them. And so I bought that thing sight unseen out in Jefferson City, Missouri, and it had never seen salt. It was a highway, one that they towed the mesh trailers with that they pick up the trash, so it had never been worked hard a day in its life. Probably had some idle hours on it. 250,000 on it, which was kind of high mileage, but they just don't, they don't really get a lot of wear on them. There's a lot of like 500,000 and 600,000 mile 6-liters that are coming out of fleets before catastrophic damage, and so those vans, it's a reliable, proven platform. Well, mine, I buy it and it had a squeak, and one of my buddies, I'd towed a rig to Houston with it, and he's like, "Yeah, you ought to throw a tensioner and a idler pulley on that." He said it'd be kind of a mess to get broke down in traffic, and it's like, "Yeah, you're right." So I took it to the mechanic, spent about $1,000 on it, and hurriedly get the thing back and the squeak's still there. I'm like, ugh. And then so that squeak turned out to be a $10,000 squeak. So I rebuilt the engine on it. But now, one thing about those LS engines is the cam bearings. Uh, Supposedly, like, guys have pulled apart running engines and the cam bearings come out on the cam, which I guess in some sense it says that they're uh, very good running engine in spite of themselves, which my high school shop teacher said that about small block Chevys too. He said you'd have one that would come in with a slight miss, and you'd take it and start looking at it, and you find like some of them just like major pieces of them broken, but they still were driving them around. So I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same. And so my high school shop teacher, he did tell me probably one of the greatest service, I guess, mindset types of coaching and advice was if you're working on something and you get stumped or you don't know what to do next, he said, just don't be afraid to take it apart and start looking. Now, that doesn't mean take it apart and scatter the pieces and don't take notes and bag and tag on how it goes back together. But the point being, sometimes all the stethoscoping and all the looking and all the reading in the world on the outside, you're not going to know what you're looking at until you just take it apart and physically look beyond what you can see, look beyond the valve covers, look beyond what you can pull apart and take. Chris, been asked a lot about these stuck engines. I don't have a brew, but I hear Croyle is very good, and I hear acetone cut with ATF. So mix your ATF and your acetone. I've seen those at farm supply stores, Tractor Supply, Orscheln, wherever. Um, we are at 2 hours and 6 minutes in, and my phone is dying. We've got 204 of the very most loyal people stuck around, and I appreciate seeing you. Sean's got to go, and very soon I do too. Lancer Wagon, yes, Wade is from the Texas auction. Sam Williams checking out. Good to see you, man. Bead roller, yes. So the basic shop tools, if you have got a shear, if you've got a shrinker stretcher, if you've got the bead roller, and you've got the brake, you can do just about anything. Another one that I've seen too is like if you've got kind of a curve that you want to make or like dimples and things, just draw that out with a Sharpie on cardboard, cut it out of plywood, and then you can use that plywood as a buck and hammer it. So I love sheet metal. I love rust patching. There's just something really, really satisfying about taking a car that comes in and you're working on it days at a time and sweeping up at the end of every day. And then there's that day that comes where you're no longer sweeping crumbs off the floor that day after you've worked on it. And you step back and you're like, this car has a floor, has rocker panels now, where when you brought it in, there was nothing. So very, very satisfying to me. Probably the best thing that I enjoy doing on cars. Yeah, love the models. Yeah, we're gonna show that Lancer. Keep the auction company videos coming. Yep, you guys are gonna get them. That's the core of the channel. Um, yep, thank you, Sweden. Yeah, we got another long. Yep, we got the globe covered. Yeah, we got Europe and everywhere. Yes, the tree stump. Absolutely, you cannot be a metal worker without the stump. My dad brought this bench home the other day, and it had this like weird like dome thing on the end of it. And my dad was gonna toss the thing in the burn pile. I was like, absolutely do not do that. I was like, the metal guys would see this bench and like know exactly what that is. And he brought that thing home, and I looked and I was like, I know exactly what that is. That's Yeah, I know. Voted on the t-shirts. Man, I got into some kind of bad cards on the game board of life. Things have gotten resolved from that, but it gets to the point where the bandwidth is what I can deal with. I'm hoping possibly that I can do stickers at least. I I believe we live in a very oversaturated. Okay, that's it.